To those of you who do not know, Club Z is a Zionist youth movement that trains teens for giving them the proper tools for combating anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism in their communities. Please come find me and anyone else wearing a staff shirt to find out more about our organization. Boycott, divestment, and sanctions. BDS. This movement targets the only democracy in the Middle East and the only Jewish state in the world. BDS has attacked again. Ben & Jerry's corporate office. Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Ben & Jerry's, when you decide not to sell in Judea and Samaria, specifically, you are targeting Jews, and that is just Jew hatred. End Jew hatred now! End Jew hatred now! End Jew hatred now! This decision does not only hurt Jews, but it directly hurts the Arab workers who work for distribution companies that provide Ben & Jerry's to all people in the region. And this hurts the small business franchisees owners, Jewish and non-Jewish alike, whose businesses have been drastically affected by the corporate, personal, and selfish decision to boycott. Shame on you, Ben & Jerry's! Shame on you! Shame on you! As we have seen throughout the world, from London to Germany to Los Angeles and to our very own streets here in New York, Jew hatred has shown to be disguised as anti-Zionism. Jew hatred starts with a boycott, but it never ends there. One day, it's Ben & Jerry's corporate office boycotting Jews in Judea, and the next, it's an angry mob in Brooklyn shouting Intifada. This must stop now, and we demand this to stop now. Shame on you, Ben & Jerry's! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! So this is how the remainder of our program is going to go. We're going to start here and hear from some speakers. Then we're going to gather together and march to the Ben & Jerry's to Times Square to show Ben & Jerry's that Jew hatred in Israel and around the world would not be tolerated, and it cannot happen. Shame on you and Jew hatred. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Assemblyman from New York's 24th District, David Weprin, the co-president of the National Association of Jewish Legislators.
Thank you. On June 19th, July 19th, just a few weeks ago, Ben & Jerry's announced on their website and on various social media platforms that it would end its ice cream sales in Israel, in parts of Israel on the West Bank, parts that they call occupied territory. They have stated that they will not be renewing agreements with their licensees in those areas at the end of the year. As the co-president of the National Association of Jewish Legislators and as a committed Jew who is in the State Assembly in New York, I am appalled. The recent steep increase in instances of anti-Jewish hate crimes, vandalism, and hate speech in the United States and throughout the world is deeply troubling. It is highly problematic that an American company is engaging in anti-Semitic behavior. Israel is an open home for the Jewish people all over the world and is the only democracy in the Middle East and a strong ally of the United States of America. Palestinian authorities, on the other hand, continue to engage in great injustices. Palestinians are denied the right to vote. Women and LGBTQ people face violence and discrimination. Journalists are stifled, and torture are used by the Palestinians. We as New Yorkers and as Jewish legislators and as people of goodwill against hate cannot tolerate such behaviors. Therefore, I have just introduced a piece of legislation in the New York State Assembly which requires the state to divest from any entity that boycotts Israel and also prohibits the state from entering into any contract with them. We have an executive order in place under Governor Andrew Cuomo. We all know we're going to be changing governors, and it's important that we introduce this legislation now and get it passed. We need to send a clear message that if you support hate of any kind, or if you boycott Israel, New York will boycott you. It's not really Ben & Jerry's anymore. It's now the parent company, Unilever. So I would add, it's shame on Ben & Jerry's, shame on Unilever. Shame on Unilever. Shame on Unilever. Thank you.
Thank you, Assembly Member. Now I would like to introduce Virab, who is an activist and a huge Zionist. Ladies and gentlemen, Virab.
Hi everyone, so just before I came on stage, there was a girl passing here screaming "fuck Israel." And I would like to ask her why she said that without actually understanding the situation here. When you say that, actually you don't stand for anybody's human rights. But why we are here today? Because my question is, how many things do I need to give up in life to stay aligned with my values? I had to give up on Roger Motors because he became a poster boy of BDS. Then I had to give up on Airbnb because they discriminate Jews. And here again, I need to put into the trash my ice cream, my favorite ice cream of salted caramel. Like, how many things do I need to give up? And why do I give up? Because the moment you deny, question, or make it look illegitimate for Jews to live in Judea and Samaria, I cannot just go on with my day as business as usual. Why? Because the moment we let these things pass without consequences, we let Jew hatred spread and we become part of the problem. I am not Jewish and it should not matter, but actually it does. And I want you to know that you are not alone. You have allies. Jews are from Judea, they are indigenous to the land of Israel and have the right to live in their ancestral homeland. Ben and Jerry, attempting to be some kind of human rights cheerleader, saying that Judea and Samaria consist of illegal settlements. But I think Ben and Jerry's never checked the facts, history, let alone international law. There is a cognitive dissonance here because they try to be human rights supporters, but they forget about the human rights of the Jewish people in their own homeland. I understand that it is very trendy to call out Israel. It somehow, in a very perverted way, became a badge of honor and a competition to see who can single out Israel with the most bizarre reason ever. But by boycotting the Jews in Judea and Samaria, Ben and Jerry is delegitimizing the Jewish right to live in Israel. This is a cultural genocide and a falsification of history. Something that would be not tolerated by any other group. Let me ask you a question. Imagine if here in New York, in my beloved borough of Harlem, Ben and Jerry would stop selling ice cream because there are African Americans living there. Or they would stop selling ice cream in Chinatown just because Chinese are living there. Who would tolerate this kind of discrimination? Nobody would accept this. So why do we need to accept the discrimination against Jews? Why do we let a private company delegitimize the homeland of the Jewish people? And what they forget, or maybe purposefully overlook, is that attacking Israel is not going to help the Palestinian Arabs. Because every time a business goes out of that area, Arabs are being hurt as well. We saw that with SodaStream. But what they are doing is they are inducing Jew hatred here in America as well. We know where that legitimization goes to. It leads to violence. Wherever boycott flourishes, Jew-hating violence follows. And we saw it here in New York. In May, just here in Bryant Park, there was a Jewish guy attacked by a mob. He had a bleeding head and had to find a refuge in the supermarket because even the police couldn't protect him. But we also saw what happened in the streets of Brooklyn end of July, when protesters were calling to globalize Intifada. Thousands marched there, thousands. But I want to ask them actually, I wonder, did they really know that they were marching behind the terrorist campaign? Do they know that they marched behind a slogan that says nothing less that it's okay to kill Jews? When Ben and Jerry boycott Israel, they are not adding to the hopeful peace. They are not helping anyone with this move. As we know very well, everybody loses in this game. What they are doing is simple virtue signaling, but unfortunately they are signaling the wrong virtues, and that encourages Jew hatred. I am standing here today as Virat, a non-Jewish Zionist who believes in common sense. But I also stand up here today as someone who believes that we can end Jew hatred in our generation. Because the Jewish presence, let it be in Judah and Samaria, Tel Aviv, or here in New York, is not a provocation. It is a fundamental right. People who signed up to this mission to end Jew hatred already marched against the ethnic studies curriculum in California that singles out again Jews. We marched for Sarah Halimi. We marched in solidarity with the Jews attacked in Israel during May. We marched for the safety and solidarity with the Jews in Berlin. We demand an end to Jew hatred in this generation, and we won't be silent. I really cannot tell you what to do. I really cannot. But I can tell you what I will do. And I will give up on my Ben and Jerry and everything that Unilever produces. Why? Because I'm not a Jew hater. And because I want a world where we are morally and intellectually honest. That discriminating against Jews is just another form of anti-Semitism. And if you cannot see that, you are part of the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Viraj. And for our last speech, I would like to welcome Rabbi Shlomo Litvin from Chabad Lubavitch. Rabbi? I'm sorry, not from Lubavitch.